Hello everyone, and welcome to my video on Beatles compilation albums. Actually, this will probably take a couple of videos because I've got quite a few things to show here. Now, before I start, I'm sorry I haven't made a video in a few weeks, and that's purely just because I've had my college exams over the last few weeks, and that's been very stressful, and I've had to spend a lot of time revising for those, so I've not really had that much time for videos. But I've got an opportunity to make one now, and I'll keep making them regularly as I did before. Right, so we'll start off with the Beatles' Red Album, which of course is the best of from 1962 until 1966. So here's the first present, and there's a picture from the same photo shoot as the Please Please Me album. However, it's not actually the very same photo from the album cover. And on the back, there's the Beatles in the same position, but older. And this album has a gatefold sleeve with the picture and the songs on the bottom there. There's a track listing. Now, first pressing covers are different to later covers, and that is because in the bottom right corner here, there is no producer credit. Oh, right. So in this space on later issues, it'll say produced by George Martin, but there's quite clearly nothing here on the first issue. Now these are the original inner sleeves for the album, and it's got all the lyrics for all the songs. This is for sides 1 and 2. Sides 3 and 4 have the same type of thing. And here is the side 1 label. Most of these tracks are in stereo. And side 2. Of course, this is on Apple, though it has a red background because, of course, it's the Red Album. Very good track listing. And here is the sleeve for sides 3 and 4. Again with the lyrics on. And here is the side 3 label, just the same as the sides 1 and 2 labels for sides 3 and 4. Again, very, very good track listing. Now that first pressing was released in 1973, and the second pressing was released in 1978, so there was quite a jump between the two. And I'd also like to say now, by no means do I have all of the Red Album and the Blue Album pressings, because there's quite a lot of those and I haven't got very many at all, so I can just show you what I have. So anyway, the next album I have to show is a first pressing again, but this has a later cover, which is the same as the one that comes with the second pressing, so I'll show you that anyway. Now, this does have the produced by George Martin credit I was referring to earlier on. Now this, of course, isn't present on the first pressings, but is here on all subsequent pressings. All titles produced by George Martin. So it's pretty easy to tell when the cover is an original or not, just because of that. And here is the proper second pressing, released in 1978. And here's the inner sleeve, which is identical to that of the original pressing. And here is the Apple label. It's pretty much the same as it was on the first pressing, except it might be a touch lighter on the label. But also the matrix numbers are different. On the first pressing it was 1131, that's obviously sides 1, 2, 3 and 4 respectively, whereas this one ends with, I think it's 3343, something like that. So not really much difference label wise between these. Now the variation B of that second pressing, which I don't own a copy of, has textured labels, but otherwise it's exactly the same as the variation A. And I've never seen a copy with textured labels, so I can't really describe that one very well. And there is also a Pi Records contract pressing, which looks more or less exactly the same, except if you hold it up to the light, the vinyl kind of glows like a translucent dark red colour. if you've ever heard about that with Pi records, or if you've ever got a record which is on the Pi label and held up to the light, it does turn like a dark red for some reason. I know quite a few of my Kinks albums on Pi do that. I don't know if it's just the material they use to make the vinyl or whatever, but apparently that's the case with that Pi Records contract pressing, if you can find it, which I also don't own a copy of. Now this is the red vinyl edition of the Red album, and there are a couple of these actually, but this is the original, and this was released in about 1978 as well, I think, and it's got a nice big red vinyl sticker there, but otherwise the cover is exactly the same. So is the gatefold with the produced by George Martin credit. Funnily enough, this LP here is one of the very first Beatles records I got a few years ago now. I remember getting the red vinyl out and thinking how amazing it looked, and it still does look really nice, I think. Nice, really vibrant red vinyl. And the labels, of course, are the same as the first two presses. Here's the other record as well. Also, like the first pressing and the second pressing, it's got the red inners with the lyrics on it. And here is the French Pathé Marconi pressing of this album, which was made in France, obviously, from 1973 to 1975. And on the inside of the gatefold cover, there's a very nice Made in France sticker, which often is found with these Pathé Marconi issues. But apart from that, the sleeve's exactly the same as the regular British one. However, the label is slightly different, and it's just got the usual wide spacing that the Pathé Marconi records have. You can see like the 33 and a third, and the song titles are spaced out quite a bit, the words. And of course, it's also got the French writing at the bottom there as well. Same for sides 2, 3 and 4. Now this next copy, this is not a British copy, it's a South African copy, but I just thought I'd show it anyway. So here it is. It's got a nice sticker on there. 2 LPs. 2 lang spellers, or whatever it says. And it differs on the back cover because it's got EMI Parlophone at the top, whereas all the British ones have an apple at the top instead of EMI Parlophone. And it's got a slightly different catalogue number as well to the British one. And on the inside of the gatefold, it's got a really nice advertisement here for other Beatles albums on sale. It's for records, vinyl or 8-track cartridges. Got some other Beatles albums there. And it's got Interpar or something written at the bottom there. Not sure what that is. Now, the South African inner sleeve does differ somewhat from the UK version, and that's just because of the style of the top here. It's different on the British issue, it's not the same shape. And here is the vinyl. Now, as you can see, the red background is a totally different shade to the UK one, and it's got a different colour, I think, of the perimeter text. Okay. Right, so now on to the Blue album, which was also originally released in 1973, and it is of course the best of from 1967 until 1970. And there's the older Beatles on the front and the younger Beatles on the back. Now, of course, the Blue album also has a gatefold sleeve. Now, unfortunately, this isn't actually a first pressing cover, because the first pressing covers, a bit like the Red album first pressing covers, don't have any producer credits here. So this is a second pressing cover. And this time it's not just George Martin who's credited, but also Phil Spector as well, for his work on the Let It Be songs. And there's the blue inner sleeves with the lyrics on, same as the Red Album. And here's the side 1 label, with a nice blue background for the Apple label this time. Sorry, this is side 3, not side 1. Yeah, so, as I was saying, a nice blue background. And here's side 4. And here is side 1. And side 2. And here is the second pressing of the Blue Album. Now again, the only difference with the vinyl is just the difference in matrix numbers, so the labels are exactly the same as the previous copy. And this here is actually yet another copy of the second pressing, except this one again has slightly different matrix numbers. I mean, there's millions of different combinations for the Red and the Blue album you can get in terms of matrix numbers. Lots and lots of different ones. But here is something a little bit more interesting. This is the blue vinyl variation, also from 1978. Now this copy doesn't actually have the sticker on the front, which is a shame. And of course it is a gatefold sleeve, as is every copy of this album. Same as before with the production credits. And here's the really nice blue vinyl for this album. Just as beautiful as the red vinyl on the Red album, I think. Very, very nice indeed. And here's the other half of the album. And here is a later copy from the early 90s, 1993 I think this copy's from. Now there have been a few presses obviously between this one and the second pressing, but unfortunately I don't have those. So like I said, I can just show you what I've got. And this of course has a barcode in the corner. There's got some text up there. Also, the actual image on the front cover seems to be a lot lighter than it was on earlier issues. Now this copy of the album actually has a really nice bonus, and that's this thing here. On the front it's got loads of old photos of the Beatles, and on the back it's advertising, well sorry, it's not advertising, it's just explaining the track list on the LP. Got it there. Which it's just a nice little feature, I think. The lyric inners are also different as well, because before it was just made out of like paper, but now it's sort of like a glossy cardboard type material. Very nice though. And here's the Apple label. Now it actually looks more like a conventional Apple label because it hasn't got a coloured background like previous copies. However, the font is bolder than on other copies that we've seen up to now. And the Beatles 67 to 1970 is a lot bigger as well. Here is side 2 there. And here is the South African pressing of the Blue album, which I got alongside the Red album South African pressing. And just like the Red album, it's got the red sticker on the front cover there. And also the advertisement on the gatefold for the other albums. And there's the inner sleeves with the different top. And here's the vinyl, which has a much lighter blue in the background than the UK issues have. I quite like the light blue though. And of course it's got the different catalogue number as well. And finally, I've got another foreign copy of the Blue Album. Now, I think this is a Yugoslavian pressing, and it's got a much lighter blue on the sleeve, and it's got the Jugoton or whatever it's called on the corner. And here's the inner sleeves, and the vinyl. Well, the vinyl looks quite different actually to other copies we've seen. The Apple label's set out quite differently, and it's got almost like a purplish colour in the background this time.